Hey, good morning, YouTube. My name is Frank. I'm an Uber driver, been an Uber driver for close to 2 years now. Lately, I've been watching different YouTube videos on Uber, people's opinions, and I wanted to try to bring some balance perhaps to what it's all about. Uh, Again, from watching other videos, it's either people are slamming Uber or they love it, making lots of money. So again, let me just start off by saying that um, my riders, sometimes I'm in parking lots, people will stop and ask me, well, do you really make money with Uber? And to answer that right on top, yes, of course you make money if as long as you're driving, but the definition of money depends on the person, how much focus and attention you want to give to driving. Let me first start off by telling you my personal story with Uber. I retired 3 years ago, and at the time, I was looking for a new vehicle. I wasn't necessarily thinking at the time of driving for Uber, so I purchased a little Chevrolet Spark. Loved the car, and a couple of months into it, I really got serious about trying to figure out how to boost my income, make some extra money on the side. Everybody was telling me Uber or Lyft, Uber or Lyft, or Uber, Uber, Uber. So you know what? I decided to jump in, do it, and I went through the process of signing up for Uber. Quite frankly, it took a couple of weeks between their background check and all that process. And when you get down to the very last process before you can actually drive with Uber, you have to go through a vehicle inspection, which they pay for. So, and at the time when I got approved to drive for Uber, they gave me a list of sites where I can go to get my vehicle inspected. Drove down there all happy, excited, and drive up to the service bay. And the attendant there, he looks at my car and he shakes his head no. I go, what do you mean? Sorry, but your car doesn't qualify to drive for Uber. I go, why not? Well, you do have a four-door car, but unfortunately, the Spark, as many other little economy cars, they don't provide a third seatbelt for a passenger in the back. Okay, so I went to a district manager, tried to get him to override that. I told him my excitement for wanting to drive for Uber. He says, sorry, your vehicle just doesn't qualify. Well, now what do I do? Well, over the next week, I thought about it and I went back to the Chevy dealer that I bought the car from and I told them my situation. And to make a long story short, I went ahead and traded in my Spark, lost $6,000 on my trade in, bought a new car. And so then, once I got my new car, took it to the safety inspection station, got it all cleared and ready to start Ubering. Well, okay. So now I had my decals for my window. I'm all excited. Yay, I'm going to make a lot of money with Uber. Okay, so a few days after that, I began driving for Uber and I began dedicating a certain amount of time. And we'll be talking about that in the video today. What is spare time and what do you consider spare time compared to what my spare time was at the time? And so I began on a Saturday, I began driving 2 years ago. Had a pretty good day. I made probably about $125. I would say I probably drove about maybe 4 hours. Sunday I kind of took off, and then Monday I kind of dedicated about 4 days of that week. Lo and behold, I ended up driving 13 hours that week. That 13 hours represented in Uber money, real money for me. I made about $325. Okay, so my next week pretty much did the same. And so my first month with Uber, I actually cleared $1,200. And again, that was pretty much driving about 13 hours a week. Wasn't too crazy with it. Again, for me personally, I just wanted to make extra income. So I wasn't looking to ever do this on a full-time basis. But let's talk a little bit about when the commercials you see for Uber and signing up for Uber. They will say to you, make good money in your spare time. And that word spare time means different things to different people. I will say this to you. if you are planning on driving for Uber and if you don't learn to block off a certain amount of time in the day or evening, whatever, I would suggest strongly get a schedule, make a schedule, and these are the hours that you must dedicate. You can't allow anybody to disrupt you, family, children, friends, whatever. If you decide that you're going to do this, you got to stick with it and drive. Again, as long as you're in the driver's seat, your app is on. Now, I'm in the Los Angeles area, and it's a relatively very busy area, even for the area in which I live. I would tell you this for me personally, when I put my app on, if I don't get a call within the first 10 minutes, I know there's something wrong either with my network or my phone or something. Typically, I'm very busy when I am driving. Now, all that to say, um, the thing that's busy compared to making money and how much money, um, short rides, here's the deal. High school kids, college kids, all use Uber all day long, all night long. And you know what? To be honest with you, most of them they can walk to where they want to go, but no, they want to Uber. So what does that mean for you as an Uber driver? Well, typically that means you're going to make about $2.60 a ride. Okay, you don't want too many of those rides because that's going to kill your money. Okay, where you make your good money is long rides. Now, on the Uber app, and we'll talk about that in other videos, but for this particular video, let me just say at a high level, the app pings at you, which means you'll get a little flash and a little ding-a-ling-a-ling that someone's looking for a ride. In that little circle that flashes, it will tell you the time to get to that individual. For me personally, if there is a ride that is over 8 minutes, I just ignore it, and I'll tell you why. 8 minutes can actually end up being 15 minutes in reality because you may have to stop for a railroad crossing, road work, etc., busy traffic, depending on the time of day. So I have found that if I take a ride that's over 8 minutes, by the time I get to the rider, they're going to cancel the ride. That's no fun, guys. Okay. And I've had plenty of them. Now, along the way, let's say for instance, you're on the way and the rider decides to cancel. Well, Uber does charge them a $5 fee for canceling, which they share some of that money supposedly with you. Um, okay, but all that to say, you want to be consistent in what you're doing. And again, I can't stress enough, you have to think about the chunk of time you want to dedicate. If you're the type of person that thinks, or again, maybe you're a newbie to Uber, if you think you're just going to get in your car, drive an hour, go pick up the kids, then get back on the road again, ain't going to cut it. Okay, and I'll tell you why too. Let's talk about chunks of time. All right, allotting time to drive. Good example. One day, I had a doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. It is now 12:40 p.m. and I get a call at a nearby college. And now again, you don't necessarily know where the rider is going until they get in the car and you hit start trip. Okay, well, I seen this girl coming with a bunch of suitcases, and I go, oh no, I bet you anything she's looking to go to the airport. So I conveniently get out of my car and I ask her if she's going to the airport, and says, "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but it's 12:40 and at 3 p.m. I have a doctor's appointment." Well, she was really ticked off, and she says, "Yeah, I'm going to report you to Uber." Da 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 da. And I tried to explain the situation, but understanding the rider's standpoint, they call for a ride and they're thinking they're going to go to the airport right now. Well, all that to say, if you think you have appointments coming up and it's an hour or two away from that appointment, me, I don't drive because I know that I'm going to get somebody in the car with my luck that they're going to want to go some long distance, and now I'm not going to be able to fulfill that destination for that rider. So you have to think about your chunk of time that you're allotting compared to appointments coming up. And what I would really say the best thing to do is think about your life. By the way, I'm retired. Uber works great for retired people, college students, people who just want to make extra income, but especially if you're retired like me. I can actually block off as much time as I want. And that's the cool thing, by the way, with Uber. I mean, whenever I decide I want to make money, I get behind the wheel. And if I feel like going to the mall for a while, hanging out, getting a yogurt or whatever, cool. I just shut my app down and I'm cool, you know. So, you know, again, think about this is a business. Okay. So when you see ads out there for Lyft and Uber, come drive with us, make money in your spare time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all true. But all that statement is a high level statement. Okay. So I'm trying to break down for everyone today a balance. I'm not going to ever badmouth Uber, and I'm not going to say, yeah, 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 I make, hundreds of thousands of dollars. No. I mean, I'm just trying to give you some simple facts about what this business is about because it is a business. And if you treat it as a business, then the other thing you want to think about when I say to you that I make $325 a week, or I was averaging when I started, okay, I started off with a brand new car, guys, at 14 miles. In 15 months, I have over 60,000 miles on my car. Oops. Now, it also depends on the type of car that you choose to drive with Uber. If you don't need to buy a car, you have a car, great. But again, the car must be four doors, three seat belts accessible in the back to accommodate enough riders, because that's the way Uber has it set up. And again, I chose a Chevy Sonic, and personally, I don't think it was a good choice for Ubering. Okay, the car probably is okay, but for using it commercially wise and having to keep up that type of pace within 15 months to put 60,000 miles on the car is not holding up well, guys. So you have to think about maintenance, the amount of gasoline that you spend. I personally spend about $13 a day in gas. Um, and and to be honest, the gasoline is probably the cheapest thing I put in the car compared to the maintenance, the payments, the insurance. Oh, and yes, let's talk about car insurance. Now, I live in California in the Los Angeles area, and California has to be or is one of the states that they call a ride share insurance state. Now, here is the dilemma with Uber. Okay, Uber has declared to the government, we are not a transportation company. We are not a rideshare company. We are simply an app. Well, that's convenient for Uber because that lets them off the hook a lot of ways when it comes to licensings and permits, yada yada. Well, I personally have AAA insurance, and one day I happened to have a talk with my agent about driving for Uber, and here is what he told me. AAA, as many insurance companies do not honor Uber or Lyft or consider that to be something that they handle in your individual policy. AAA does not cover rideshare insurance. My agent told me if I get in an accident while driving Uber, if my passenger or passengers are injured, it says my car, my passengers, or me are not covered. Okay, they wanted me to know that. So my agent kind of told me off the side. He says, well, Frank, if I were you, if you got in an accident, make sure your story is straight with your rider. Make sure that you're a cousin or whatever. Take those Uber stickers off the window. And before pictures are being taken, whatever, because if we find out that that accident was caused while you're driving Uber, we will not cover you. Bad news. Okay. Now, there are three insurance companies in California that will carry rideshare insurance, Mercury Insurance being one of them. I called them, and here's what they told me. Well, first of all, in order to get rideshare insurance with their firm, you have to have your entire policy with them. Okay, so I personally pay $960 a year on my current policy, full coverage on my Chevy Sonic. My insurance to get rideshare insurance through Mercury would go up to $4,200 a year. Wow, isn't that great? Now, do the math. If you're making $300 a week and you're going to invest $4,000 a year just in insurance, the math doesn't make it. Now, I can't emphasize enough that this is a business. Just don't go up to people randomly and say, "Oh, well, by the way, are you making money with Uber?" Well, sure, they're going to tell you, "Yeah," but again, you got to think about all the pros and cons. And the cons to this business is the money you have to put out. I've already put a whole new set of tires on my car, and in my particular case, the water pump has gone out, the thermostat housing's gone out, the battery. This is on a brand new car in 15 months. I'm driving this car into the ground driving. Okay, so I still got 5 more years to pay on that car, and if I keep it up, every year adding another 60,000 miles, my car, the payments are going to last longer than my car is. Okay, so do the math. Think about what your particular needs are, what it is you want to get out of Uber, and go for it. Okay, guys, well, this was my first video. I'll be making other videos. I would encourage you to like and subscribe. If you have any other ideas for other videos or questions you have for me, I'm Frank. Let me know. Thanks.